Look at this mechanical puzzle assembling itself. This structural process is the clearest way to view the act of thinking. We often speak about creativity as though it's an accident, but new ideas are the result of a deliberate, moving architecture that can be actively engineered. This is Dr. Edward de Bono. Decades ago, he analyzed the way the brain builds and reinforces patterns, and then codified a structured method to break them. He called this specific practice lateral thinking. This diagram illustrates the core difference in his methodology. Standard logical thought, what we call vertical thinking, is about taking an existing idea and digging a single hole deeper. Lateral thinking is the tool you use to stop digging, move over, and drill a hole in a completely new place. By the end of this video, you are going to build a physical lateral thinking toolkit. You will assemble the exact materials needed to actively train this specific cognitive skill for yourself or for your students. Step 1 is establishing your framework. Before we cut any paper or gather any prompts, we have to isolate the time. Reading all the concepts at once without executing the physical exercises will yield zero results. Binge learning the theory does not rewire the brain. Looking at this digital calendar, you need to apply de Bono's strictest rule. Block out exactly 1 hour a week dedicated to practicing lateral thinking. Do not wait for lateral thinking to simply occur to you during your daily routine. In everyday life, the mind's priority is efficiency, so it will always default to its established, rigid patterns. Creating a formal, isolated environment forces the mind off its default efficiency setting. This separation allows the specific mechanics of lateral thinking to take root, eventually shifting them from a set of rules into a natural mental posture. Now we move to physical components. Step 2 is curating visual prompts. Take a look at this stack of worn magazines. You will source your images from pages exactly like these and mount them on stiff cardboard. The selection criteria here is strict. An image is only useful if it is highly ambiguous. You must be able to look at the photo and immediately see at least 2 different valid interpretations of what is happening. Straightforward images fail this test. A photo of a firefighter putting out a fire leaves no room for interpretation, making it useless for this practice. A successful visual prompt lacks obvious context. For example, an isolated image of a man holding a can of corned beef is excellent because the viewer has to invent the reason why. To maintain this ambiguity, take a pair of scissors and physically cut away the original captions. Do not let your brain anchor to the photographer's intended context. Stripping away context disrupts the brain's pattern recognition software. When the mind cannot easily categorize an image, it is forced to generate novel perspectives to make sense of the visual data. Step 3 is curating verbal materials. Over at a newsstand like this one, you will hunt for short text clippings, newspaper headlines, isolated quotes, and brief opinion pieces. The rule for text selection is that the clipping must contain a specific, strong, or even extreme viewpoint on a topic. Broad, neutral summaries do not work. Carefully balanced overviews will not trigger the response you need for these exercises. Extreme viewpoints are effective because they force the brain into a state of immediate reaction. Upon reading a polarized claim, your mind instantly attempts to either fully agree or fiercely disagree. You are injecting deliberate friction into the process. By introducing aggressive viewpoints, you force the mind to break down rigid ideas to find alternative, unexpected angles of counterargument. Step 4 is curating problem prompts. You will write 3 specific categories of scenarios onto physical index cards to complete your raw materials. The first category contains open-ended issues, either local or global. Write down a prompt asking how to resolve city traffic congestion without building new roads. The second category involves design constraints. Challenge the user to invent a fully functional babysitting service that operates entirely inside a busy supermarket. The third category features closed problems with a physical twist. Ask the user to figure out how to draw a perfect circle on a piece of paper without using a compass. Do not include standard math trick questions or traditional logic puzzles. Those problems have single predefined answers that trigger standard vertical logic, which defeats the purpose of the exercise. These 3 specific categories are engineered to frustrate obvious, step-by-step logical paths. To solve them, you have to restructure the components and find a workaround. Step 5 is assembly. Take your mounted and ambiguous photos, your extreme text clippings, and your specialized problem cards, and physically organize them into a dedicated box or binder. The system requires randomness to function. You must curate a large volume of material so that when you sit down for your weekly hour, pulling an item is a genuine surprise. Once assembled, this physical archive transforms abstract creativity into an actionable, on-demand resource you can pull from a shelf. This book cover represents the foundation of the toolkit you've just built. You now have a systematic method to break old patterns on command, replacing the passivity of waiting for inspiration with a proactive physical workflow. These intersecting circles represent two modes of thought. Lateral thinking creates raw ideas. Vertical thinking executes them. Relying only on vertical thinking is repetitive. Lateral thinking without logic is dangerous. True development happens right here in the overlap. So don't wait for your scheduled hour. Pull one photo out of your newly assembled toolkit right now and force yourself to explain what is happening in 3 completely different ways.